Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about Affliction Warlock PvE guide. So after this video you should be pretty well to play Affliction Warlocks in World of Warcraft patch 8.1. So we're going through all the changes from 8.0 to 8.1, all through the stats, the Azeroth traits, the talents and the rotation. So let's just dive directly into it and talk about it. So the first thing is the changes. So Affliction Warlock didn't really receive any changes, except this one here, that the Azeroth trait Death Bloom has been replaced by a new trait called Pandemic Invocation, and refreshing Recorruption a Johnny Siphon Life with less than 5 seconds remaining will deal scaled amount of damage, shadow damage, and has 6% chance to grant you a soul shard. So it's a pretty cool talent, Azeroth trait, and I don't have anything against it. It's pretty cool and you can deal a lot of damage with it. After that we're going to talk about the stats. So first of all you're going to have Mastery as number 1, because Mastery is increasing the damage of your damage over time spells and Seed of Corruption. So it means, you know, you're Johnny, it's going to Corruption and Unstoppable Affliction. So you know it's going to be increasing your damage of all your damage over time abilities, your dots, and that's pretty good because that's pretty much your main rotation playing Affliction Warlock. So nothing really to hate there. The next one is going to be Haste, and Haste is because it's helping your damage over time abilities to deal more damage. Haste is so for example, Haste is helping your damage over time abilities to deal more ticks. So for example, let's say a Johnny is dealing maybe 18 ticks, and the more haste you get, then you get maybe more ticks. So over the 18 seconds probably a Johnny will be on the target, it now maybe takes 19 or 20 times. So haste is helping to deal more damage for your damage over time abilities. Also haste is reducing the global cooldown, so that means you can faster cast new dots. So again, Mastery is number 1, haste is number 2. Versatility is number 3 because it increases your flat damage, and it's always, you can say, it increases your flat damage and it also decreases the damage you take. So I mean you're a bit easier for the healer to hold up. Critical Strike is like the last one because it's random damage. It increases the critical strike chance of your spells, and I mean all your damage over time abilities can of course also deal critical strike. But again, it's not 100% sure when you do critical strike. So Mastery, Haste, Versatility is the most reliable one, and then critical strike is the last one. So that is the stats. The next one will be the Azeroth traits. So for the Azeroth traits, I mostly want to talk about only these Azeroth traits, because these Azeroth traits is the one that is giving you the best damage on single target. So like 1 to 2 targets on a boss fight. And I mean pretty much I would say all the important things in raid or dungeons is like the boss fights. So these Azeroth traits here is on the outer ring is going to give you the best damage on boss fights. So the first one is Treacherous Covenant. Your primary stats increase by 160 while you are above 50% health, and you take 15% increased damage while below 20% health. So you can say, well, so as long as you have more than 50% health, you deal more damage. That is pretty good. The next one will be Dagger in the Back. So your damaging spells and abilities have a chance to fling a dagger at your target, causing them to bleed 132 physical damage over 12 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times. Every time this one here attacks, it stacks normally 2 times. So you can see it gives 2 stacks. So Dagger in the Back, if it hits the target twice, it will then deal 4 times stacks. And it's pretty good damage. I mean, it's 132 4 times. So that's pretty good. For, I mean, you already have damage over time abilities on your target, so why not have it anymore? And all your damage over time abilities have a chance to call this Dagger in the Back, so it's pretty good. The third one is Racking Brilliance. Every other soul shard your Johnny generates also increase your intellect by 345 for 6 seconds. So you can say every time you get a soul shard from what is it called, a Johnny, you get a damage boost. And it's the double damage boost you will get from Treasure's Covenant, but Treasure's Covenant is giving you the damage boost all the time as long as you're over 50% health. So that's why Treasure's Covenant is like, it's better because it's more reliable, and Radiant Brilliance is kind of random. Dagger in the Back is also sometimes random because you need the stacks to actually come, but because of all your damage or time abilities, it comes quite often. So that is the outer ring. Then we have the inner ring. Overwhelming Power is still the number 1. So Overwhelming Power is giving you 25 stacks of haste, and each of these haste stacks give you 11 haste, so that's quite much haste you get. And then it decreases every second, and of course when it's finished you can get it up again running. So Overwhelming Power is giving you a lot of haste boost that will increase all your damage in all. So Overwhelming Power is number 1. Number 2 will be God River, and all your spells have a chance to deal physical damage to the target, and God River will happen more when the target is below 30% health. So you could see this like a execute spell. It's pretty good, I would say, pretty good. Heed My Call is on a 3rd place, and your damaging ability have a chance to deal 300 nature damage to your target, and it deals 150 to all the targets around it for 3 yards. So it helps the damage on target you're on, and it helps to damage all the targets around you. You could probably say, why is Heed My Call not better than God Ripper? Well, it's because when you're on a boss fight and the boss goes down under 30% health, God Ripper is going to happen much more, and in all it's going to deal more damage than Heed My Call. But on trash mobs, Heed My Call is better than God Ripper. So that is the Azeroth traits. So that means we have been going through now the changes, the stats, and the Azeroth. So now we're going through the talents and the rotation, and for that I'm going to switch over to the game screen. So let me just switch over. So here we are on the screen game with the talents. So let's go through the talents, and I will explain what talents is best for which scenarios. So first of all, in the first row, that Death Ball is pretty much the best one in no matter which scenarios. If you use Death Ball in the correct manner, Death Ball can be a really good talent, and it can increase your damage so much. If you're having really hard time using Death Ball and you really hate that talent, Drain Soul is also a great one that replaces it, but I would still recommend Death Ball anytime, and you should really learn how to use this one. I would also tell you how to do it later. Siphon Life is on the next row, is the best one for 1 to 2 targets. So every time it's a boss fight or just a cleave fight, Siphon Life is the best one in your rotation. If there's more than 3 targets, like plus 3 targets, 3 to 7 targets, Absolute Corruption and Rift in Agony is the best ones. So Absolute Corruption is the best one if, let's say, you're targeting a big group of monsters and you're not able to cast Seed of Corruption and give them all corruption on. Then you need Absolute Corruption, because if all the targets are spread around and you're not able to use Seed of Corruption to give them corruption, Absolute Corruption is the best one. Rift on Agony is the best one if all the targets are standing in one group and you can't just refresh corruption all the time with Seed of Corruption, and then it's better to use Rift in Agony. I know it's kind of advanced, but that's how it is. So if you can refresh corruption with Seed of Corruption, then Absolute Corruption is not the best one, and Rift and Agony is the best one. But if all the targets are like spread out and you cannot use Seed of Corruption, well, then Absolute Corruption is the best. So it's kind of different, but again, the difference between these two are very similar, so just take the one that you feel the most confident with. But again, 1 to 2 targets is Siphon Life. The next row is pretty much up to you, but Burning Rush is the best one for mobility. Dark Pact is nice if you just want a big shield now because you know you're standing in the wrong place. And Demon Skin is the best one for like passively survivability. Normally I like to play with Demon Skin, but Burning Rush can be really great for like helping you with mobility. On the next row, Phantom Singularity is the best one damage wise in pretty much any scenarios. So you should take this one always. On the next row, Demonic Circle can be really good for creating, I mean, you can create an additional portal you can use for teleporting around, so you can always get out of things like fire, like bad things on the ground. So you can, instead of you have to use a lot of time for running around, you can just set up a portal on a safe place and you can teleport to that place when you're standing in bad things. So I would always recommend Demonic Circle, but again, you can also take Dark Fury if you want to have a lower cooldown on your stun, and Mortal Coil if you want some self-healing, but I would never do that. On the next row, Haunt is the best one in pretty much any scenarios, and you should always try to just aim for the Haunt one. So Haunt is increasing, well, it deals more damage, and it increases the damage you deal to that target by 10% for 15 seconds. The cool thing about this talent is that it has 15 seconds cooldown, and it's on the target for 15 seconds. So that means you can pretty much hold up Haunt all the time, and that means you're going to deal 10% more damage to the target all the time with Haunt. On the next row, Dark Soul Misery is the best one on 1 to 2 targets, maybe 1 to 3 targets, because it increases your, well, infuse your soul with misery and fallen foes, increase your haste by 30. So that means all your damage abilities or damage over time abilities and so on will deal more damage and deal more often damage. But Creeping Death is actually the best one if you are in a big trash mob scenario. So for example, if you're fighting a group where they have like a lot of trash mobs, like that you have to just, the only thing you have to do this battle is pretty much, you know, just dot, because there's so many trash mobs. Then Creeping Death is the best one. But 1 to 3 targets where you don't have to spam dots all the time, like a boss fight or something else, Dark Soul Misery is the best one. So that is pretty much the talents. So you could say single target rotation and 1 to 2 targets rotation is what you're looking at right now. More than 2 targets rotation, like 3 to 7, is Creeping Death, and one of these two in your own choice. But I will go back to the single target rotation. So that was the talents. Let's now talk about the opener, the rotation. So first of all, when you're going to do opener, let's first talk about your pet. Pet. Where do I have my pet? There. So as Affliction Warlock, it's most recommended on single target fights to use your Fell Hunter. So Fell Hunter is dealing great damage, and it also has, well, this one here, count on enemy. So that means you can basically interrupt the enemy. So if you are against the target and he's casting a spell, like a healing or a shield, you can interrupt him. So it's nice in dungeons because you can interrupt, and it has a great single target damage. Keep in mind that Blizzard has pretty much changed the pets on Warlocks, so they all deal basically the same damage. They have very close damage to each other. They don't have any big differences. The only things they have now is they have the normal damage ability and small things like you can remove a buff on the target and you can interrupt. In old days you could say this pet was the best for that, but now damage is very close. Even though on trash mobs Voidwalker is actually shining pretty good, because this spell here, it has drains 500 health from all nerfy enemies. So if there's a lot of trash mobs, it actually deals more damage than the Fell Hunter, because that damage ability is 500 and the Fell Hunter is 2300. So you just need a little more enemies like trash mobs and it deals quite good damage. You actually just need 5 trash mobs and the Voidwalker will begin to deal more damage. But again, then you could say every time it's only 1 to 4 targets, well, the Fell Hunter is probably dealing more damage. But again, it's minor damage, so the pets is minor damage. Okay, let's talk about the opener. So the first thing you always want to do, you can see now the tank is running towards the boss. The first thing you always would do is you will precast Haunt. So first thing, precast Haunt. After that you want to apply a Johnny, Corruption and Siphon Life. So now you have Haunt on your 3 dots. Then you want to cast Dark Soul. Use all your soul shards on Unstoppable Affliction. Cast Phantom Singularity and summon Dark Lair and cast Dvalin. That is your opener. Of course, when you do the opener, you should try to be a bit faster than I was, but I'm explaining and reading and also at the same time. But this is how you should probably do. Let me explain why. So first you cast your Haunt. Could you please stop? Thank you. So first you cast out Hunt because it increases damage by 10%. Then you put out all your damage over time abilities because they deal great damage, and it will help your Deathbolt deal more damage. Then you use your Dark Soul Misery that will give you more haste, and it will do so all your damage over time abilities you have casted will now deal more damage. Then you use all your soul shards on Unstoppable Affliction, and why is also because then you use summon Dark Lair. Well, actually first before that you cast Phantom Singularity just for another damage over time, and then you cast summon Dark Lair. And the cool thing about summon Dark Lair is that it increases all your damage abilities by 8 seconds. So that means all the Unstoppable Affliction you just spammed, they just get 8 seconds more on the target, and that is so insane. So if you just do this opener very fast, get up all your damage over time abilities and all that, and you use summon Dark Lair, all your damage abilities will be for 8 seconds more. And then the magic tricks come. Then the big magic tricks that is depending on all your damage is Deathball. Because then you use Deathball and it will deal 30% of all the remaining damage you have on damage or time abilities. And because Dark Lair just increased all the damage or time abilities by 8 seconds on the duration, Deathball is dealing such a nice damage. So if you're doing that opener every time, you should be 100% sure that you're going to deal a lot of damage. So this time I'm going to try to do it a bit more faster when it's actually already in my Dark Lair. But while we're waiting for this cooldown, let me tell you. So after you finish your opener, and of course if it's a raid, the boss is still going to be alive for a while. The most important thing for that is you have to maintain a Johnny, Corruption and Siphon Life all the time. Those 3 damage or time abilities, it's very important you keep them up all the time. Like every time there's like 3 or 4 seconds back on them, refresh, refresh, refresh. And it's so important that you refresh a Gunny, because a Gunny is stacking up the damage. So right now it's on 10 stacks, that means it's dealing a lot of damage. If you fail to refresh a Gunny, it will go down to 0 stacks again, and you have to stack it up again. So your damage over time abilities is like you have to hold them up all the time. So if you think like, oh, I hate to keep up my dots all the time, well then you're playing the wrong spec. Because Affliction Warlock is pretty much just holding up your specs and holding an overview of a lot of spells. After that you should use your Dark Soul Misery all the time when you're ready to dump a lot of Unstoppable Afflictions. So when you're up on like 4 to 5 Unstoppable Afflictions, Soul Shards, and you're ready to dump a lot of them on with your Soul Shard here, Unstoppable Affliction, then you should use Dark Soul Misery. But never use Dark Soul Misery if you're not ready to dump a lot of Unstoppable Afflictions. When you have a lot of Unstoppable Afflictions up and a lot of all your dots up, you should use Dark Lair when everything is up again running. Like your opener, when everything is up and running, you should use Dark Lair to increase the duration of all your damage over time abilities, and then Deathball. Also cast Haunt whenever you can, cast Phantom Singularity whenever you can, and use Shadow Ball as a filler when nothing else to do. I think it's very rare you're going to use Shadow Ball because you are using so much time on refreshing all your spells and keeping up all your spells. But if you have like 2 seconds where you don't do anything, you should use Shadow Ball as a filler. Also, just tips and tricks. Try to see if you can have one Unstoppable Affliction up on the enemy all the time, just one. Because Unstoppable Affliction is increasing the damage to the target by 10%, Haunt is increasing damage by 10%. So when you have these two on for 10 seconds, it's pretty much increasing the damage all the time. So you can see, just try to see if you can hold them up all the time. And when Haunt is finished on the target, it's ready to be used again. So you can see up with the horn, up with just unstoppable affliction, and you can keep up this 20% damage buff all the time. And also bonus with that, you have to hold up your damage abilities all the time also. So you can say you're going to use a lot of time on holding up all your damage abilities, all your horn, and you know, you just have to refresh them all the time. So that is going to be your main course. So yeah. So let's try to open again. And this time I will try to do it a bit more faster to see if I can do it more reliable. So first, precast horn, apply all the dots, Dark Soul Misery, use all my soul shot on Stolen Affliction, cast Phantom Singularity, summon Dark Glare, and Death Ball. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Let's do it. Our dot. Server 2. There we go. And all my dots are up and running. Such a damage. Such an insane damage. So I hope you kinda understand what I'm doing. I hope you somehow understood what I was doing. So if we dismiss this. So first of all, again, I was precasting Horned as the first thing. I used all my 3 dots, so Agony, Corruption, and Siphon Life. After that, I used my Dark Soul Misery to get more haste, so my damage over time abilities deal more damage, and also so I can spam a lot of unstoppable afflictions in a row. After that, I used all my soul shards on all unstoppable afflictions very fast. Then I used Phantom Singularity as an extra spell, and then use Dark Glare so all my damage abilities will be there for 8 seconds more, and I use Death Ball to deal all the damage or time ability I have right now on the target. The remaining of that damage will deal instantly 30% with Death Ball. So if you just follow that rotation, that for opener, and afterward you should do that for maintaining, your damage should be pretty good. So ladies and gentlemen, that was the Affliction Warlock guide for patch 8.1. So, I mean, that was all the changes, the stats, the Azeroth, the talents, and the rotation. So now, after watching this guide, you should be pretty comfortable for playing Affliction Warlock. And I mean, you can just rewatch the guide all the time. Also, beside this guide, I have made a 5-minute guide of Affliction Warlock. So if you don't like, I mean, okay, now you just watched this 30-minute guide. But if you don't like to watch these long 30-minute guides I'm doing all the time, I'm also doing now, every time I upload one guide that is long, I'm also uploading a short guide. So now every time I upload, you can even choose to see my long guide, where I go down in every detail. Or you can watch my short guide, where I pretty much just tell you, do this and you will be good. Because on 5 minutes you don't have time to tell a long story. You only have time to say, this is the good things to do this, and you will be good. So it's gonna be fun. I mean, I just did the other one with 5 minutes, and I have to have my tongue in the mouth. I mean, it's so easy to say something wrong when you only have like 5 minutes. It's like blah, blah, blah. So yeah. So thanks you guys for watching, and if you have any comments about Affliction Warlock, leave down a comment. Else I can just say thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for all the new subscribers. I mean, I haven't been uploading for a few days because I was in Belgium, and I'm so honored to see I still get new subscribers even though I don't upload because I'm working on my other job. So again, thanks you guys for watching, thank you guys for subscribing, leave down a comment if you have any questions about this video, and like it if you like it. So else I can just say thanks for watching. Have a nice evening.